I'm Amelie, 34, and until last month, I thought I was the cool aunt. As a software engineer in Boston, I could afford to spoil my niece Lily without breaking a sweat. That's why I bought her a high-end tablet for her 12th birthday, a gift that matched her artistic talents. But when my sister Rebecca called it cheap in front of everyone, something in me snapped. I grabbed the tablet and walked out. I had no idea that taking back a gift would expose my sister's desperate financial situation and years of family secrets. Before I continue this story, where are you watching from? Hit that like and subscribe button while I explain how a birthday present unraveled decades of sisterly tension. Growing up, Rebecca was always the golden child. 2 years older than me, she did everything right according to our traditional parents. Married her high school sweetheart Jason at 22, had 3 beautiful children by 27, and became the stay-at-home mom our mother always wanted us to be. Meanwhile, I was the rebel who moved to Boston for college and never looked back, choosing algorithms over family dinners and career advancement over settling down. Despite our differences, I made good money as a senior software engineer at a healthcare tech company. 6 figures, solid investments, and a comfortable condo in Cambridge gave me financial security that many people my age couldn't claim. Yet I lived modestly, driving a 5-year-old Subaru and spending on experiences rather than luxury items. My biggest splurges were typically on gifts for my nieces and nephew, particularly Lily. Rebecca's life in the suburbs of Connecticut looked picture-perfect on social media. A 4-bedroom colonial with perfectly manicured landscaping, 3 kids in private school, and yearly vacations to Disney or tropical resorts. But behind the Instagram filters, there were whispers of financial strain. Jason worked as a sales manager at a car dealership, a decent job, but not one that could easily support their lifestyle, especially with Rebecca not working outside the home. "You're so lucky you don't have responsibilities," Rebecca would say during our monthly phone calls. "No mortgage, no kids' tuition, no soccer equipment to buy every 3 months." I'd bite my tongue, resisting the urge to point out that these were choices, not obligations. Instead, I'd listen to her complaints about bills while scrolling through her Facebook posts showing off new furniture or designer handbags. "Just wait until you have a family," she'd add, as if my life was merely a prelude to real adulthood. "Then you'll understand why we're always stretched thin." Our relationship had always been competitive, but it worsened after I was promoted to lead engineer 3 years ago. Rebecca's congratulatory call quickly turned into a comparison of our lives. "That's great, Amelia. I got a promotion too, you know. Hami finally learned to use the potty without accident. That's like a $100 monthly raise in diapers." I laughed politely, but the pattern was clear. Every achievement of mine needed to be countered with one of hers. Every gift I gave her children needed to be matched or outdone by something from her and Jason, even when they complained about credit card debt in the same breath. Jason was no help in breaking this cycle. Tall, handsome, and perpetually agreeable, he nodded along with whatever Rebecca said. When I once privately suggested they might consider scaling back expenses, he shrugged and said, "Happy wife, happy life, right? Besides, we're fine. Just typical middle-class struggles." But it was their middle child, my niece Lily, who became my closest family connection. From the moment she was born 12 years ago, we shared a special bond. Unlike her athletic older brother Mark or her princess-obsessed little sister Emma, Lily was thoughtful and creative. She'd sit for hours with a sketchbook, drawing intricate fantasy worlds populated with fascinating creatures. By age 10, she was asking me about coding and digital design. "Aunt Amelia, can you teach me how to make my drawings move on the computer?" she asked during one of our weekend visits. That question sparked a tradition of Saturday coding lessons when she'd visit me in Boston. I cherished those Saturdays. We'd start with breakfast at my favorite cafe, then spend at my dining table with laptops open, working through basic animation principles. Afterward, we'd visit art museums or tech exhibits, ending with ice cream regardless of the weather. During these outings, Lily would confide in me about school struggles, friendship dynamics, and her dreams. "Mom wants me to try out for cheerleading," she told me one Saturday, pushing her glasses up her nose. She says it would help me be more social. Do you want to be a cheerleader? I asked, already knowing the answer. Lily shook her head. I want to be a graphic designer like the ones who make those cool movie posters. But Mom says that's not a real job. These conversations revealed a growing concern. Rebecca seemed determined to mold Lily into a mini version of herself, dismissing her daughter's artistic interests as mere hobbies. When I gently advocate for Lily's talents, Rebecca would bristle. She needs practical skills, Amelia. Not everyone can be a tech genius like you. Some of us have to live in the real world. The tensions escalated last Christmas when I gifted Lily a beginner's digital drawing course online. Rebecca pulled me aside after Lily excitedly opened it. Art classes, really? We're trying to get her more involved in school activities, not stuck behind a computer all day like. She stopped herself, but the implication was clear, like you. She's gifted, Rebecca. You should see what she can create. What she needs is balance and normal teenage experiences, but thanks for undermining our parenting. Again, I later learned that Rebecca had accidentally deleted the course registration email, telling Lily there had been a technical problem with the website. I only discovered this when Lily asked about it during a coding lesson 3 months later. This pattern continued with other gifts. Art supplies that mysteriously disappeared, design books that were misplaced, software subscriptions that were too complicated to set up. I started to realize that my gifts weren't just being undervalued, they were being actively sabotaged. Still, nothing prepared me for what would happen at Lily's 12th birthday party. The incident that would finally bring our family's unspoken tensions to the surface and force us all to confront uncomfortable truths about selves and our relationships. When Lily's 12th birthday approached this spring, I knew exactly what I wanted to get her. Our coding sessions had progressed to the point where she was creating impressive digital artwork, but she was limited by using my equipment during visits. A tablet of her own would unlock her potential and show her I believed in her talents. Not just any tablet would do. I researched for weeks, comparing specs and reading reviews on digital art forums. I wanted something professional grade that would grow with her skills, not a toy that she'd outgrow in months. Finally, I settled on the Art Pro X7, a high-end drawing tablet with pressure sensitivity, a large display, and professional software included. The price tag was steep at $799.99, but seeing Lily's face when she opened it would be worth every penny. The Wednesday before her Saturday birthday party, Lily called me after school. Aunt Amelia. Mom said you're coming to my party, right? Her excitement was palpable through the phone. Wouldn't miss it for the world, kiddo. How are the party plans coming along? Mom's going all out. We're having it at Wildwood Adventure Park with a DJ and everything. She ordered this huge custom cake that looks like a castle. She lowered her voice. It seems like a lot. I would have been happy with just having friends over for pizza and movies. I frowned at this information. Wildwood Adventure Park was notoriously expensive, with basic party packages starting at $500. Add a DJ and custom cake, and Rebecca was easily spending over $1,000 on a preteen birthday party. That sounds, elaborate. Are you excited? I guess, Lily hesitated. Mom keeps asking what I think you're getting me. She seems really interested. Well, it's a surprise, I said, glancing at the tablet box sitting on my counter, but I hope it's something that helps with your art. I've been dropping hints about new drawing supplies, Lily whispered conspiratorially. But Mom keeps saying you'll probably get me clothes or something boring. After talking with Lily, I called Rebecca to coordinate about the party. The conversation quickly confirmed my concerns. An adventure park? That sounds expensive, Beck. I tried to keep my tone neutral. Rebecca's laugh was dismissive. It's her first big teenage-style birthday. Besides, all her classmates have had parties there. She's turning 12, not 16, I pointed out. And I thought you and Jason were trying to cut back on expenses. Didn't you mention credit card issues last month? We're managing fine, she snapped. Not all of us have tech salaries and zero responsibilities. There it was again, the jab about my lifestyle choices. I'm just concerned. If money's tight, maybe I could help with the party costs instead of buying an elaborate gift. We don't need your charity, Amelia. Rebecca's voice turned cold. Just because you have disposable income doesn't mean you need to show off how much better you're doing than us. That's not what Besides, she continued, Lily's been asking for a new bike. If you want to be useful, you could contribute toward that instead of whatever impractical gadget you're probably planning to get her. I bit back a retort about how a bike would sit unused in their garage while Lily drew inside, just like the expensive tennis racket they'd bought her last year despite her lack of interest in sports. I already have her gift picked out, I said, something that aligns with her interests. Well, just remember she's still a kid, not your little tech protege. Rebecca sighed dramatically. Anyway, party starts at noon. Try not to be late this time. After hanging up, I stared at the tablet box, questioning my choice. Was I overstepping, imposing my values on Lily? But then I remembered the joy on her face when she created her first animated character on my computer, how she'd clapped her hands and said, "This is what I want to do forever." No, I decided. Rebecca might not appreciate Lily's artistic talents, but I wouldn't let that stop me from nurturing them. The tablet was the perfect gift, practical for her interests and a vote of confidence in her dreams. Besides, if Rebecca could spend over $1,000 on a one-day party, surely she couldn't criticize me for investing in Lily's future. I spent that evening setting up the tablet, installing the software, and even preloading some tutorials I thought Lily might enjoy. I wrapped it in silver paper with a rainbow ribbon, Lily's favorite colors, and wrote a card expressing my belief in her creative potential. Everything was ready for Saturday's celebration. I had no idea that my carefully chosen gift would trigger a family crisis or that Rebecca's reaction would reveal just how precarious their picture-perfect suburban life had become. Saturday arrived with perfect spring weather, sunny and mild with a gentle breeze that sent colorful balloons dancing against the blue sky. Wildwood Adventure Park had been transformed into a birthday extravaganza that would make social media influencers jealous. A massive banner reading, "Happy 12th Birthday Lily," stretched across the entrance, while party staff in matching t-shirts directed guests toward a reserved pavilion decorated with flowers, streamers, and twinkling lights. I parked my Subaru between a BMW and a Mercedes in the crowded lot, the tablet gift securely tucked under my arm. As I approached the pavilion, I spotted Rebecca directing caterers while checking her phone. She wore a designer sundress that I recognized from her Instagram posts last week, spring shopping spree. #blessed, with a price tag I knew exceeded my monthly grocery budget. "Amelia, you made it," Jason approached with a plastic cup punch that I suspected wasn't just punch. "Rebecca's been stressing all morning about everything being perfect." "I can see that," I said, taking in the elaborate setup. "This looks expensive." Jason's smile faltered slightly. "Well, you only turned 12 once, right?" Rebecca wanted Lily to have something special to remember. Before I could respond, my niece spotted me from across the pavilion and came running. "Aunt Amelia." Lily threw her arms around me, nearly knocking the gift from my hand. Unlike her mother, she wore simple jeans and a t-shirt featuring characters from her favorite anime series. "You came." "Of course I did, birthday girl. Wouldn't miss it for anything." I hugged her tightly. "This is quite a party your mom put together." Lily rolled her eyes with the expert disdain only a preteen could manage. "It's totally over the top. Mom invited half my grade, including kids I barely talk to. But the rock climbing wall is pretty cool." Rebecca materialized beside us, her smile tight. "Lily, honey, Kaylee's mom is looking for you. Something about the friendship bracelets you girls were making." She turned to me after Lily reluctantly walked away. "Glad you could make it, Amelia. That's her gift. Looks substantial." "It's something special," I replied, resisting the urge to defend my choice before Lily had even opened it. "Well, we're opening gifts after cake. Speaking of which, I should check on the caterer." She hurried away, leaving me to mingle with relatives and parents I barely knew. Aunt Margaret sidled up beside me at the refreshment table. "Quite the production, isn't it?" she murmured, nodding toward the professional photographer capturing candid moments. "Between you and me, I don't know how they afford all this. Your Uncle Gary says Jason's dealership has been struggling since that new place opened across town." I sipped my punch uncomfortably. Rebecca always did have expensive tastes. That's putting it mildly, dear. Margaret lowered her voice further. Did you know they refinanced their house again last year? Third time, I believe. Derry and I are worried, but you know how your sister gets when anyone questions her choices. The party progressed with organized activities, catered lunch, and performances from a hired entertainer who combined magic tricks with science experiment. Finally, after the elaborate three-tier castle cake was served, Rebecca announced it was time for gifts. Lily sat at the center table while friends and family gathered around. She opened each present with genuine gratitude: clothes from grandparents, books from friends, the latest video game from her brother, and a jewelry box from her little sister. Rebecca and Jason presented their gift with dramatic flair. A new iPhone in the latest model, complete with designer case and accessory. Mom, wow, this is too much, Lily said, looking overwhelmed. Nothing's too much for our special girl, Rebecca announced loudly, glancing around to ensure everyone noticed her generosity. Finally, it was my turn. I placed the silver-wrapped package in front of Lily, suddenly nervous about how it would be received after such extravagant gifts. This is from me, I said simply. I hope it helps with your creative project. Lily carefully unwrapped the package, gasping when she saw the Art Pro X7 box inside. Aunt Amelia, is this really? Her eyes widened as she opened the box to reveal the professional tablet. Oh my God, this is the one professional artists use. I can't believe it. She jumped up to hug me, nearly knocking over her chair in excitement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been watching YouTube tutorials for this exact model. The genuine joy on her face warmed my heart until I caught sight of Rebecca's expression. Her smile had frozen, eyes narrowed as she stared at the tablet. Let me see that, she said, reaching for the box. She turned it over, examining it with pursed lips before saying loudly enough for nearby guests to hear, that looks cheap. Is it even a real brand? The conversation around us quieted. Lily's smile faltered as she looked between her mother and me. It's actually top of the line, I said evenly, though my cheeks burn. Professional grade. Rebecca gave a dismissive laugh. Well, I guess it looks like one of those knockoffs. You know, the ones they sell on those discount websites. Lily pulled the tablet back protectively. Mom, it's exactly what I wanted. It's for digital art. I'm sure your aunt just got whatever was on sale, Rebecca continued as if Lily hadn't spoken. It's the thought that counts, right? The tension in the air was palpable. Nearby, Jason shifted uncomfortably but remained silent, while other family members pretended to be engrossed in cake or conversation. Something inside me snapped. Years of subtle digs, competitive jibes, and dismissive comments crystallized into a moment of pure indignation. Actually, I said, my voice unnaturally calm, it cost $800. But since you think it's so cheap, obviously Lily doesn't need it. Before I fully realized what I was doing, I reached over and took the tablet from the table, slipping it back into its box. Aunt Amelia, Lily's voice quavered, her eyes filling with tears. I'm sorry, Lily, I said, unable to look directly at her devastated expression. If your mother thinks it's not good enough, then perhaps I should return it and get you something more appropriate. Rebecca's face flushed dark red. Don't be ridiculous, Amelia. You're making a scene. No, you made the scene when you called my gift cheap. I tucked the box under my arm, my hands shaking with anger and embarrassment. I put a lot of thought into this gift, but clearly it doesn't meet your standards. I turned to leave, aware of the shocked expressions and uncomfortable murmurs around me. Lily called after me, but Rebecca shushed her. I heard Jason say, Amelia, come on, don't do this, but I kept walking. As I reached my car, my phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Sarah. That was intense. Rebecca was way out of line. You okay? I didn't respond, too upset and confused by my own behavior. Had I really just taken back a birthday gift from a 12-year-old? What kind of adult does that? But the humiliation of having my carefully chosen present dismissed as cheap in front of everyone burned too deeply for rational thought. On the drive home, my phone exploded with notifications. Text messages from family members expressing either support or criticism. A voicemail from Jason asking me to reconsider. And most gut-wrenching of all, a simple text from Lily. I understand if you want the tablet back. I'm sorry Mom said those things. Love you. That last message nearly made me turn the car around. But pride and hurt kept me driving toward Boston, the tablet sitting accusingly on my passenger seat as I wondered how a birthday gift had spiraled into family drama of this magnitude. What I couldn't have known then was that Rebecca's cheap comment had nothing to do with the quality of the tablet and everything to do with a desperate financial situation she'd been hiding from everyone, including her husband. Sunday morning arrived with a splitting headache and overwhelming regret. I sat at my kitchen counter staring at the tablet box, replaying the previous day's events and cringing at my behavior. Had I really stooped to taking a gift back from a child because my feelings were hurt? What kind of example was I setting? My phone had been buzzing consistently since I'd left the party. I finally forced myself to look through the messages. Rebecca had sent a series of increasingly angry texts. I cannot believe you embarrassed us like that. Lily is devastated. I hope you're happy. You need to bring that tablet back immediately. Answer your phone. Jason had called 4 times and left 2 voicemails. His tone was gentler but still pointed. Hey Amelia, it's Jason. Look, things got out of hand yesterday. Rebecca shouldn't have said what she did, but taking back Lily's gift wasn't cool either. Call us when you get this so we can sort this out. The second message, left around midnight, sounded different. Amelia, it's Jason again. Listen, I need to talk to you privately about something. Rebecca doesn't know I'm calling. It's about our financial situation. Please call me back when you can. That last message piqued my curiosity. I knew they lived beyond their means, but Jason's tone suggested something more serious than the usual credit card debt. The most heart-wrenching message came from Lily, a simple text that made my stomach knot with guilt. Aunt Amelia, I understand if you want the tablet back. I'm sorry about what happened. I still had the best time with you at my party. Love you. I typed and deleted several responses before settling on, Lily, I'm so sorry for what happened. This isn't your fault at all. I was upset with your mom, but I shouldn't have taken that out on you. We'll figure this out soon, I promise. Love you too. After sending that message, I made a decision that felt both petty and necessary. I would keep the tablet temporarily. Not to punish Lily, but to force a real conversation with Rebecca about her constant undermining and competitive behavior. Perhaps withholding something she clearly wanted for Lily despite her public dismissal of it would finally make her talk to me honestly. But first, I needed space to think. I texted Jason, need some time to process, we'll call later this week. The next few days passed in uncomfortable silence. I threw myself into work, staying late at the office to avoid my empty apartment where the tablet sat accusingly on my coffee table. By Wednesday, I'd convinced myself I was teaching Rebecca a valuable lesson about respect and appreciation. Then came the call from Sarah, our mutual cousin who had always been close to both of us. Have you talked to Rebecca? She asked without preamble. Not since the party. Why? Sarah hesitated. I went over there yesterday. Amelia, something's seriously wrong. Their lawn hasn't been mowed in weeks, which you know is completely unlike Rebecca. When I went inside, there were past due notices on the counter that she tried to hide. And she was using candles because she said the light bulbs needed changing, but I think their electricity might be restricted. What? That can't be right. Despite our differences, Rebecca had always maintained a perfect home. Maybe they're just having a temporary cash flow issue. I don't think's temporary. I overheard Jason on the phone with what sounded like a collections agency. And here's the weird part, Rebecca kept asking if I'd heard from you and whether you'd mentioned the tablet. She seemed desperate to know if you were keeping it. A sinking feeling settled in my stomach. Why would she care so much about a tablet she called cheap? That's what I'm trying to tell you, Sarah said urgently. I think she was planning to sell it. I saw a browser tab open on her laptop with the tablet's resale value. The pieces suddenly clicked together. Rebecca's cheap comment wasn't about devaluing my gift, it was about making everyone else think it wasn't valuable so they wouldn't question her when it mysteriously disappeared and was sold online. That's insane, I said, though it explained Rebecca's increasing desperation to get the tablet back. If they needed money that badly, why spend a fortune on Lily's party? You know, Rebecca, appearances are everything. I think they're in deeper trouble than anyone realizes, but they'd rather maintain the facade than admit they need help. After hanging up with Sarah, I finally returned Jason's call. He answered immediately. Amelia, thank God. Rebecca's been driving me crazy about that tablet. I think we need to talk, Jason. Not about the tablet, but about what's really going on with your finances. A long silence followed. How did you never mind? Sarah probably told you. She mentioned seeing some concerning things. How bad is it? He exhaled heavily. Bad. We're 3 months behind on the mortgage. Credit cards are maxed out. Rebecca doesn't know I've been looking at bankruptcy options. And the tablet? Sarah thinks Rebecca was planning to sell it. Another pause. I didn't know that part, but it makes sense. She's been selling things online for months. Designer bags, jewelry. Stuff she told me was just cluttering up the closet. Why didn't you tell me things were this dire? I could have helped. Rebecca would never allow it. You know how she is about appearing perfect, especially to you. The bitterness in his voice was unmistakable. Besides, this isn't a small problem that a loan would fix. We're talking years of financial mismanagement. And the elaborate birthday party. The new iPhone, all on credit cards that are already over the limit. Rebecca insisted Lily needed a party as nice as her friends. I tried to argue, but he trailed off, his enablement of Rebecca's spending speaking for itself. I was processing this information when my phone beeped with another call. Rebecca. Jason, I need to go. Rebecca's calling. Don't tell her I told you, he said quickly before hanging up. I answered Rebecca's call with trepidation. Finally, she snapped. I've been trying to reach you for days. I needed some time, Rebecca. What you did at the party was hurtful. What I did? You're the one who took back a child's birthday present. Do you have any idea how much you hurt Lily? The manipulation was so transparent now that I knew what was happening. Cut the act, Rebecca. I know you're planning to sell the tablet. That's why you're so desperate to get back. The silence on the other end confirmed my accusation. Who told you that? She finally asked, her voice small. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you're apparently in serious financial trouble, but instead of asking for help, you're resorting to selling your daughter's birthday gifts. You have no idea what it's like, Rebecca's voice cracked. Trying to maintain a household, raise 3 kids, keep up with expenses when everything keeps getting more expensive. You're right, I don't. But I do know that spending thousands on a birthday party when you can't pay your mortgage is insane. How do you? She stopped, then continued with anger replacing vulnerability. Jason talked to you, didn't he? He had no right. He's worried, Rebecca. We all are, but this ends now. We need to have an honest conversation about what's happening and how to fix it. By fix it, you mean swooping in with your tech money to save the day. So you can feel superior to your failure of a sister. Her words stung, but I recognized them as desperate deflection. No, by fix it I mean helping you and Jason create a sustainable plan that doesn't involve maintaining appearances at the expense of your family's security. But first, you need to be honest with me, with Jason, and with yourself. Rebecca was quiet for so long I thought she might have hung up. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with tears. We're going to lose the house, Amelia. Everything's falling apart, and I don't know how to stop it. Then let's talk about it. Really talk, without the competition and resentment. I'll come over tomorrow evening. And the tablet? She asked, her momentary vulnerability already retreating behind practical concerns. We'll discuss that tomorrow too. But Rebecca, it's not going to be a quick fix. This requires real changes. I know, she whispered before hanging up. I sat staring at my phone, suddenly understanding that the tablet had become a symbol of something much larger than a birthday gift. It represented the breaking point of a family system built on appearances, competition, and financial irresponsibility. And somehow, my impulsive decision to take it back had forced a long overdue reckoning. The question now was whether our family bonds were strong enough to survive the uncomfortable truths that would emerge when I walked into Rebecca and Jason's house the next day. The next evening, I pulled into Rebecca and Jason's driveway with the tablet box on the passenger seat. The property showed subtle but unmistakable signs of neglect. Overgrown grass, wilting flowers in the garden beds, and a broken shutter hanging askew. For a home that had always been showcase perfect, these details spoke volumes about their deteriorating situation. Jason opened the door before I could knock, greeting me with a strained smile and bloodshot eyes. "Thanks for coming," he said, leading me into the living room where Rebecca sat rigidly on the edge of the sofa. Lily was curled up in an armchair nearby, looking smaller than her 12 years. The house's interior told its own story. The designer furniture remained, but family photos that had previously occupied expensive frames were now missing. Empty patches on the walls suggested artwork had been removed, likely sold. A stack of mail sat on the console table, read final notice, visible on several envelopes. "Lily, honey, can you go upstairs while we talk to Aunt Amelia?" Rebecca asked, her voice artificially bright. Lily didn't move. "If this is about my birthday and the tablet, I should be here. I'm not a baby." Rebecca started to object, but Jason intervened. "She's right, Beck, this affects her too." I placed the tablet box on the coffee table. "I think Lily should stay. What happened at her party involved all of us, and she deserves to understand why." Rebecca's mouth tightened, but she nodded curtly. "Let's start with the obvious," I said, gesturing toward the tablet. "Rebecca, you called this gift cheap not because you thought it was low quality, but because you were planning to sell it to pay bills." "That's ridiculous," Rebecca began, but her protest lacked conviction. "Mom," Lily's voice was soft but firm, "is that true? Were you going to sell Aunt Amelia's gift?" Rebecca looked away, unable to meet her daughter's gaze. Jason stepped in, his voice gentle but resolute. "Lily, your mom and I haven't been honest with you or your siblings about our financial situation. We've made some bad decisions over the years, spending money we don't have to maintain a lifestyle we can't afford. We were trying to protect you kids," Rebecca added defensively. "We didn't want you to worry." "By lying?" Lily's question hung in the air, painfully direct. "Yes," Jason admitted after a moment, "by lying, to you, to family, to selves, and now it's caught up with us." I watched as Jason, for perhaps the first time in his marriage, took control of a difficult conversation. He explained their situation with unflinching clarity. 3 months behind on the mortgage with foreclosure looming, credit cards maxed out with astronomical interest rates, car payments they could no longer afford, and private school tuition they'd been covering with home equity loans. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, struggling to comprehend the scale of their financial disaster. "I could have helped, at least with emergency expenses." "Because Rebecca wouldn't let me," Jason said, an edge of resentment in his voice. "She'd rather sell her designer bags on consignment sites than admit to her successful sister that we're drowning." "That's not fair," Rebecca protested, tears welling in her eyes. "You were the one who insisted we could afford private school tuition. You were the one who wanted the boat we never use. You were the one who—" "Stop it, both of you." Lily's unexpected outburst silenced the room. "This isn't helping anything." The 12-year-old's maturity in that moment was humbling. She turned to me, her expression earnest beneath the sting of betrayal. "Aunt Amelia, I didn't know Mom was going to sell your gift. I wouldn't have let her. Your presents are always the ones that really see me." The simple honesty of her statement brought a lump to my throat. Before I could respond, Rebecca erupted into sudden, harsh sobs. "You think I don't see you, Lily. You think I don't know how talented and special you are." Her words came between gasping breaths. "I see how you light up around your aunt. I see how much you prefer her to me. Do you have any idea what that feels like, to watch your child idolize someone else?" The raw pain in her voice silenced us all. This wasn't just about money anymore, it was about jealousy, insecurity, and complicated family dynamics that had festered for years. "I don't prefer Aunt Amelia to you," Lily said quietly. "She just encourages me to do what I love instead of what you think I should love." Rebecca wiped her face with trembling hands. "Because she gets to be the fun aunt while I have to be the practical mother. She gets to buy you expensive gifts and teach you cool skills while I have to worry about raising you to survive in the real world. The real world doesn't have to mean giving up creativity, I interjected, trying to keep my voice gentle. And being practical doesn't have to mean dismissing Lily's passions. Jason moved to sit beside his wife, taking her hand. Beck, we need to be honest. This isn't just about Amelia's relationship with Lily. It's about how we've been living a lie for years, and it's hurting our family. I know that, Rebecca snapped, then deflated. I know, but admitting we've failed is so hard. Especially to you. She looked at me, years of competitive resentment in her gaze. Perfect Amelia who always makes the right decisions. I couldn't help but laugh, though there was no humor in it. Perfect. Rebecca, I'm 34 and alone. My closest relationship is with my niece. Most nights I work until 9 and come home to an empty apartment. My life isn't perfect, it's just different from yours. But you're successful, she insisted. You have freedom, financial securities. And you have a family, I countered. Something I've always envied, believe it or not. The revelation seemed to shock her. You've envied me? Before I could elaborate, Jason refocused the conversation. We need to talk about what happens next. We're 3 months behind on the mortgage. The bank is threatening foreclosure. The gravity of their situation hung heavy in the room. Lily, who had been quietly listening, suddenly spoke up. Mom, remember when you said the tablet was cheap? Was that because you needed to sell it for a lot of money? Rebecca nodded, shame coloring her features. We needed to make the minimum payment on the mortgage. I thought if everyone believed it wasn't valuable, no one would question when it disappeared. Have you done that before? Lily asked, her voice small. Sold my presents? The painful silence that followed was answer enough. Jason finally spoke. Lily, there have been other gifts from your aunt that your mother returned or sold. I stared at Rebecca in disbelief. What gifts? What are you talking about? Jason couldn't meet my eyes. The coding course last Christmas. The art books for her birthday last year. The software subscription. You said those were technical problems or got lost in the mail, I said, connecting the dots. You've been systematically undermining my relationship with Lily by getting rid of my gifts. I needed the money, Rebecca cried. And yes, fine, I was jealous. You breeze in with these perfect gifts that make you the hero while I'm drowning trying to keep this family afloat. Lily stood up, tears streaming down her face. You sold my presents. How could you do that? Those weren't just things, they were opportunities. The pain in her voice cut through Rebecca's defenses. She reached for her daughter, who stepped back. Lily, baby, I'm sorry. We were desperate and You lied to me. You made me think Aunt Amelia forgot about me or that the gifts didn't work. Do you know how many times I was afraid to ask her about them because I thought I'd hurt her feelings? Rebecca crumpled, decades of pride and pretense collapsing under the weight of her daughter's tears. For the first time, I saw my sister not as a competitor or antagonist, but as someone drowning, a woman who had built her identity around a lifestyle she couldn't sustain and was watching it all slip away. I don't want the tablet, Lily declared suddenly, straightening her shoulders. Not if it causes this much trouble. Not if it means we lose our house. Her selflessness in that moment broke something open in me. I looked from Lily to Rebecca to Jason, seeing clearly for perhaps the first time how toxic our family patterns had become. The competition between sisters. The financial irresponsibility. The lies and manipulation. And caught in the middle, a 12-year-old girl trying to navigate the adult's dysfunction. Enough, I said firmly. This stops now, all of it. The pretending, the competing, the living beyond your means, it stops today. I turned to Rebecca, whose mascara had created dark tracks down her cheeks. I will help you. Not by writing a check that enables more of the same behavior, but by helping you create a sustainable plan. But you have to be honest, completely honest about everything. Why would you help us after how I've treated you? Rebecca whispered. Because we're family, I said simply. And because Lily deserves better from all of us. For the first time in years, perhaps in our entire adult lives, Rebecca looked at me without defensiveness or competition. Just raw vulnerability and the tentative hope that perhaps, after everything, sisterhood still meant something. The weeks following our confrontation were difficult but necessary. Like demolishing a house built on a crumbling foundation, we had to tear down years of financial deception and dysfunctional patterns before we could rebuild something healthier. The day after our emotional showdown, I contacted Michael, a financial advisor friend who specialized in debt management and financial recovery. He agreed to meet with Rebecca and Jason as a favor to me, though he warned that their situation would require difficult decisions. "I'm not taking financial advice from a stranger," Rebecca had initially protested when I suggested the meeting. "Would you prefer bankruptcy court?" Jason countered, his new assertiveness still surprising all of us. "Because that's where we're headed without help." Michael didn't sugarcoat his assessment. Sitting at their dining room table surrounded by bank statements, credit card bills, and loan documents, he painted a sobering picture. "You're spending approximately 40% more than you earn each month," he explained, pointing to his calculations. "The private school tuition alone consumes nearly a third of your after-tax income. The boat payment, the second car, the country club membership, these are luxuries you simply cannot afford." Rebecca flinched at each item he listed, but didn't argue. The reality had finally become impossible to ignore. "What are our options?" Jason asked. Michael outlined a three-pronged approach: immediate austerity measures to stop the bleeding, debt consolidation to address the crushing interest rates, and potentially selling assets to avoid foreclosure. The plan would require significant lifestyle changes: public school for the kids, selling the boat and second car, cutting up credit cards, and moving to a smaller home. "What about the tablet?" Rebecca asked quietly. "Should we still sell it to make the mortgage payment?" I shook my head. "The tablet stays with me for now. Lily can use it when she visits." "But that's part of my condition for helping," I interrupted. "The tablet represents the destructive patterns we're trying to break. If I give it to you now, nothing really changes. It's just another band-aid on a gushing wound." My proposal was straightforward. I would help with 3 months of mortgage payments to prevent immediate foreclosure, but only if Rebecca and Jason committed to Michael's financial plan, attended financial counseling, and agreed to family therapy to address our dysfunctional dynamics. "And one more thing," I added, "complete transparency moving forward. No more secrets, no more keeping up appearances, no more competitive games between us, Rebecca." She nodded, the fight gone out of her after years of maintaining an exhausting facade. "I don't have the energy for games anymore anyway." The initial changes were painful: telling the kids they'd be switching to public school, selling the boat Jason had barely used but considered a symbol of success, canceling summer vacation plans, listing designer clothes and handbags on consignment sites, this time with purpose and planning instead of desperation. But with each difficult step, the crushing weight of pretense lifted a little more. A month into our new reality, Rebecca asked if we could talk privately. We sat on her back porch with cups of coffee, store brand now, not the expensive imported beans she'd previously insisted on. "I need to apologize," she began, staring into her mug. "Not just for the tablet incident, but for years of, I don't know what to call it, jealousy, competition, sabotage. All of the above," I suggested with a small smile. "Why didn't you ever call me out on it before?" I considered the question carefully. "Because it was easier to avoid conflict, to see you a few times a year, bite my tongue, and retreat to my own life than to confront the patterns we'd established since childhood." Which was exactly what Jason did with me, Rebecca realized. Avoiding conflict, enabling my worst behaviors until everything imploded. We've all played our parts in this dysfunctional dynamic. Rebecca traced the rim of her mug thoughtfully. "Do you remember when we were kids and I got the lead in the school play while you were assigned to tech crew?" I laughed. "How could I forget? You practiced your lines at top volume for weeks. What you don't know is that I begged the teacher to put you on tech crew because I knew you'd be a better performer than me." I was so threatened by you, even then. The admission stunned me. Really? I always thought I lived in your shadow. The pretty, popular older sister who did everything right. And I thought I lived in yours. The smart, independent sister who didn't need anyone's approval. Rebecca shook her head ruefully. We've wasted so much time, haven't we? That conversation marked a turning point in our relationship. Decades of competition began to give way to something new. Authentic sisterhood built on honesty instead of comparison. The following weekend, Lily came to stay with me in Boston, her first visit since the birthday disaster. I watched nervously as she explored my apartment, wondering if our special bond had been damaged by the family drama. I have something for you, I said, retrieving the tablet from my office. You can use this whenever you're here. Lily took the device reverently, running her fingers over the screen. Mom told me everything. About selling my other presents, about their money problems, about being jealous of you. That must have been a difficult conversation. It was, but I think it was good, you know? Before, everyone was always pretending. Now it feels like we're all finally being real. She looked up at me. Is that why you took the tablet back? To make everyone stop pretending? Not exactly, I admitted. I took it back because my feelings were hurt and I reacted badly. But sometimes even our mistakes can lead to important changes if we're willing to learn from them. I set up the tablet on my dining table, and we spent the afternoon exploring its features. I showed her how to adjust pressure sensitivity for different drawing effects and installed some additional software I thought she'd enjoy. As the sun began to set, Lily created her first complete digital artwork, a family portrait showing Rebecca, Jason, her siblings, and me standing together, smiling. It's what I hope we can be, she explained, a real family. Not perfect, just real. The following week brought the first monthly budget review meeting with Michael. Rebecca and Jason had adhered to the austerity plan with surprising discipline, coming in under budget in several categories. We found some local summer camps for the kids that are a fraction of what we were planning to spend, Jason reported proudly. And I've been bringing lunch from home instead of eating out with the sales team. I've been selling more items online, Rebecca added, but systematically now, with Michael's guidance on where to list things for the best returns. It's actually becoming a decent side income. Michael nodded approvingly. You're making good progress. It's still going to be a long road, probably 2 to 3 years before you're debt-free, but the immediate crisis is stabilizing. As we reviewed the numbers, I noticed something remarkable. Rebecca wasn't defensive about the financial constraints or embarrassed about the necessary sacrifices. Instead, she seemed almost relieved to have abandoned the exhausting pretense of perfection. We're talking about moving to a smaller house in a different school district, she told me after the meeting. Something we can actually afford without being house poor. I used to think that would feel like failure, but honestly, it feels like freedom. Over the next few months, our family dynamics continued to evolve. Jason became more assertive in financial decisions. Rebecca found unexpected satisfaction in budgeting and bargain hunting. The kids adjusted to public school with minimal drama, and Lily joined an art club that nurtured her creative interest. Most significantly, Rebecca and I began building a relationship based on authenticity rather than competition. We started having weekly sister calls where no topic was off limits: money struggles, relationship challenges, parenting fears, career frustrations. The very things we'd previously hidden from each other became the foundation of a deeper connection. During one such call in early summer, Rebecca made an observation that stopped me short. You know what I've realized, Amelia? Taking back that tablet was the best thing that could have happened to our family. It forced us to confront everything we'd been avoiding for years. I still feel bad about how I handled it, I admitted. Taking a gift from a child was pretty low. Maybe, but sometimes it takes something dramatic to break through denial. If you'd just given the tablet to Lily and gone home, nothing would have changed. We'd still be drowning in debt, I'd still be jealous of your relationship with her, and our whole family would still be living a lie. Her perspective shifted something in my understanding of the situation. What had felt like a moment of shameful weakness had actually become a catalyst for necessary change. By disrupting our dysfunctional patterns, even unintentionally, I'd helped create space for something healthier to emerge. 3 months after the birthday party incident, Lily's art teacher selected her digital drawing for a district-wide exhibition. The piece she created on my tablet during weekend visits had evolved into a sophisticated composition that impressed even the high school art instructor. The entire family attended the exhibition opening, standing proudly as visitors admired Lily's work. Rebecca squeezed my hand as we watched Lily explain her creative process to an interested couple. "Thank you," she whispered, "for seeing her gifts when I was too busy maintaining appearances to notice, for pushing us toward honesty even when it hurt, for being the sister I needed instead of the one I thought I wanted." As I watched Lily bloom with confidence and creativity, I realized that sometimes our most regrettable actions can lead to unexpected healing. Taking back that birthday gift had been a moment of hurt pride and poor judgment. But it had also been the breaking point a family system needed to finally confront its destructive patterns and begin building something more authentic. The tablet that once symbolized family conflict now represented something else entirely: the power of truth to transform even our most painful moments into opportunities for growth and connection. 6 months after Lily's birthday party, our family gathered again, this time at Rebecca and Jason's new home. The modest 3-bedroom ranch house in a middle-class neighborhood bore little resemblance to their former mini-mansion, but the atmosphere inside couldn't have been more different. Gone was the carefully curated showcase home with its designer furniture and untouchable space. In its place was something warmer and more authentic: a lived-in family home with comfortable, slightly mismatched furniture, walls adorned with the children's artwork, and a palpable sense of relief. "Welcome to our downsized life," Rebecca said as she opened the door, her smile genuine and relaxed. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, a far cry from the designer outfits she'd once considered essential. "What do you think? It feels like a home," I replied honestly, following her into the sunny kitchen where Jason was preparing a simple dinner. "A real one. We're paying half the mortgage we were before," Jason reported, stirring a pot of chili. "And our utility bills are manageable for the first time in years." Rebecca nodded. "Michael says we're on track to be credit card debt-free within 18 months if we stick to the plan. It's still hard sometimes, but nowhere near as stressful as pretending we could afford a lifestyle that was drowning us." The transformation in my sister was remarkable. The perpetual tension that had once tightened her features had softened. She moved with an ease I hadn't seen since we were teenagers, before marriage and motherhood and keeping up appearances had become her full-time job. "How's therapy going?" I asked as we set table for dinner. "Surprisingly helpful," Rebecca admitted. "I've been unpacking a lot about why I felt so compelled to maintain this image of perfect success. Some of it goes back to Mom and her expectations, but a lot of it was my own insecurity. Comparing myself to you, to the neighbors, to people on social media, it was exhausting and completely unnecessary," Jason added, joining us at the table. "Turns out most of those perfect neighbors were in debt up to the eyeballs too. 3 families on our old street have listed their homes since we moved. The facade is crumbling all over that neighborhood." Rebecca touched his hand affectionately, another change from the tense, passive-aggressive interactions I'd witnessed for years. "Jason's been going to therapy too. Both couples and individual sessions. It's been eye-opening," he said, "learning how my conflict avoidance enabled Rebecca's spending, how my own insecurities about providing for the family kept me from being honest about our finances until it was almost too late." Lily bounded into the kitchen then, tablet in hand. "Aunt Amelia, I finished the animation project we started last weekend. Want to see?" The tablet had found its proper place in our family system. It lived primarily at my apartment, but traveled with Lily between our homes, a symbol of both creative opportunity and hard-won family boundaries. More importantly, Rebecca had made peace with the arrangement, no longer viewing the device as competition or threat. After dinner, Lily gave a presentation of her digital art portfolio, showcasing work she'd created over the past 6 months. Her progress was remarkable, reflecting both natural talent and dedicated practice. Mrs. Jensen thinks I should apply to the magnet art program at the high school next year, she announced proudly. It's super competitive, but she says my digital portfolio gives me an edge since most applicants only have traditional media samples. That's wonderful, honey, Rebecca said, her pride evident. What struck me most was the absence of any qualifier or redirection. No, but what about your math grades? Or as long as you have a practical backup plan. She was simply celebrating her daughter's passion and talent without the anxious need to steer her toward a more conventional path. Later, as Rebecca and I washed dishes while the others played a board game in the living room, she brought up something I hadn't expected. My therapist and I have been talking about why I was so threatened by your relationship with Lily, she said, handing me a plate to dry. It wasn't just jealousy, though that was part of it. It was fear. Fear of what? I asked. Fear that she would choose your life path over mine, that she'd see your career success and independence and decide that was better than becoming a wife and mother. She rinsed a glass methodically. I built my entire identity around those roles, and when they didn't bring the fulfillment or security I expected, I doubled down instead of reconsidering. The thought of Lily rejecting that path felt like she would be rejecting me. Her self-awareness impressed me, and now I see that I can want different things for Lily than what I chose for myself without it being a rejection of my life. She can be an artist or engineer or whatever combines her talents and passions. My job is to support her journey, not mandate its destination. That night, as I prepared to drive back to Boston, Lily presented me with a gift, a digital drawing she'd printed and framed. It showed two women standing side by side, clearly meant to be Rebecca and me, with a young girl between us, each of us holding one of her hands. It's called Both Paths, Lily explained, because I need both of you, Mom's strength and care, and your creativity and encouragement. I don't have to choose. As I hugged her goodbye, I marveled at how a 12-year-old had articulated what had taken her mother and aunt decades to understand. That different life choices didn't have to be viewed as competition or judgment. That family relationships could embrace differences rather than demanding conformity. The tablet incident had indeed become a turning point for our entire family system, though not in the way any of us could have predicted that dramatic day at Lily's birthday party. What began as an impulsive reaction to hurt feelings had precipitated a cascade of necessary changes and painful reckonings. Rebecca and Jason's financial transparency had saved them from bankruptcy and foreclosure, replacing unsustainable striving with realistic planning. Their marriage had strengthened through honesty and shared responsibility. The children had adjusted to their new circumstances with surprising resilience, perhaps because the emotional atmosphere at home had improved so dramatically. And my relationship with Rebecca had evolved from competitive sisterhood to something deeper and more authentic. We'd learned to appreciate our differences instead of viewing them as implicit criticism. We'd begun to untangle the complicated knots of family dynamics that had kept us locked in destructive patterns for decades. As for me, I'd learned that setting boundaries, even imperfectly, was sometimes necessary for genuine connection. That enabling harmful behaviors out of fear of conflict ultimately served no one. That standing firm could be an act of love when done with the right intentions. The tablet that had caused such drama now served its intended purpose, nurturing Lily's creative talents while strengthening the bonds between us all. What could have remained a family rift had instead become a bridge to understanding. Sometimes the greatest gifts emerge from our most difficult moments. Sometimes taking something back creates space for something better to take its place. And sometimes, when we finally stop pretending everything is fine, we create the possibility for everything to actually become fine, not in the perfect, curated way we once imagined, but in the messy, authentic way that brings genuine peace. Have you ever had a moment of conflict that unexpectedly led to positive change in your relationships? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments below. And if you found value in this journey through family dynamics, financial honesty, and healing relationships, please like and subscribe to hear more stories that might resonate with your own experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to know they're not alone in family struggle. Remember, even our most difficult moments can become catalysts for necessary growth if we're brave enough to face the truth behind them. Thank you for listening to my story, and I wish you courage in your own family journeys.